This fall, the boys didn't get to do much hunting, so we decided to take a trip to Montana to do some buffalo hunting. We'd looked up on the internet and found a place called the Montana Hunting Company, which seemed relatively reasonable. So we decided to take a trip to Montana. This was going to be an adventure. We didn't realize that it was going to be quite as much of an adventure as it turned out to be. We left on December 26th, the day after Christmas. It was snowy and frosty here, so we didn't really know what to expect when we got to Montana. But Jacob was going to go to Montana to go to college, so we figured this would be a good trip for him to get used to some snowy and cold weather. Portland had been a snowy mess, and the gorge was pretty icy, so we were glad to leave all that behind. First, through the icy streets of Portland, east to the ribbon of ice and snow that was the Columbia Gorge. We stopped at Troutdale to fuel up, which is pretty much the gateway to the Columbia River Gorge, which had recently been opened. They had closed it due to the road conditions because of the ice and snow. We had been concerned about this, as it would have canceled our trip. Now we're underway on I-84.
One lane was pretty well open, but we couldn't go very fast. There were trucks stopped all along the way, putting on chains and taking off chains. Fortunately, we had studded tires, so we were able to go okay. It was taking us much longer to get on the way, because at places we could only go about 35 miles an hour, so we had to keep moving. As long as we're moving, we knew we were getting someplace, but it's taking forever. There were still many abandoned vehicles along the freeway. People had left their cars, and some of them were stuck, and they're just now beginning to dig out. So we don't know what this is going to mean when we hit that Montana border, but we're about to find out.
These trucks all appeared to be chaining up, so we really didn't know what was in store ahead of us. We noticed the exit to Multnomah Falls and checked out the falls. They were at least partly frozen over. One of Oregon's top tourist destinations didn't look very busy today.
Seeing Multnomah Falls froze over is a spectacular sight, but it's a sight we didn't need when we're heading to Montana to go buffalo hunting, so we just soon not have all that ice and snow here.
The snowblower is doing his job and making the freeway slightly wider.
The Columbia Gorge has a reputation for being some of the nastiest roads any place. It's because there's so much traffic on it, and it packs this ice and snow down to where it becomes almost impossible to drive. We watch on the right side, and we see a few mountain sheep trying to dig some grass out of the brush on the side hill above us.
Steadily we push on. We stop at a rest stop to chip some ice off the trailer.
But we look around and see we're in for a rare treat. It's one of the rare times we have what they call a silver thaw. All the fog has frozen on the trees, the fence wires, and every place around, making it look like they're all flocked for Christmas.
Even the fence along the freeway was covered with frozen fog. The picnic tables were all decorated with beautiful trees in the backdrop, waiting for picnics. The hybrid poplars, they were covered with a frozen fog as well. As we continue on towards Spokane, the trees are covered and bowed down with a coating of snow.
By the time we near Spokane, The sun is sinking low behind a cloudy, snowy sky. We reached Spokane right at last light of day.
We had a schedule to keep, so we planned on going right through Spokane. Unfortunately, there was an accident ahead, and we were stuck in traffic for over an hour, just waiting in Spokane.
It's 18 degrees as it's stop and go, just barely moving all through Spokane due to an accident. We finally come to where the accident is, and then traffic will be a little better. We were hoping to get over Lookout Pass before dark, but I can see we're not going to make that goal.
It's snowing heavily by the time we reach Lookout Pass, but the road's still okay. Finally, what we were hoping for, the summit of Lookout Pass. At least we'll have a downhill stretch into Montana.
Yeah. Oh, Montana.
We stop at a rest stop on the Montana side of Lookout Pass.
Our little trailer's taking a beating. As we stop at the rest stop and everyone gets out, it's a good chance to check everything, knock a little ice off. We move on over through Butte, Montana. There we find another rest stop. We're going to stop and spend the night since it's already past midnight and the kids are ready to settle in for the night. We spent the night there, then the next in the little cargo trailer. The next morning we're up at first light, go to the bathroom, and the kids really haven't experienced that kind of cold before, so they're getting a preview of what's ahead of them.
This is Kristen's first trip to Montana, and she's ready to meet the challenge.
I thought it was toasty warm in the cargo trailer, but I'm not sure everyone else would agree with that.
We're now heading towards Bozeman for this long-awaited buffalo hunt.
We run into a new type of weather that these kids have never seen. It's drifting snow across the freeway, and to me, originally being from Montana, it was just like there's been no time passed. It's just like I was in Montana yesterday. It all felt so at home for me. An older Cadillac came whizzing past us at about 70 miles an hour, hit some ice on this bridge, and done almost 5 complete revolutions around. Fortunately, there was enough snow next to the railing on the bridge that held it away from the railing on the bridge, and the woman backed out and moved on very carefully now, and she'll exit at Three Forks. I guess maybe she wants to get off the freeway and go sit in her car for a while and just shake after her experience, and she must have been dizzy. The swamps and willow thickets were all frozen here, not even a good place for a duck to swim. Some places the road is completely covered with snow and slick. We're having some difficulty finding the spot where we were supposed to meet our guides and hunt, but we left plenty early, so we'll have some time to sort this thing out. The weather's not looking great, and we finally find the place where we exit off the paved highway to go out on a smaller road to our buffalo hunt. After we turn off, the snow is blowing so hard here that it's almost a total whiteout. We can't even see where we're going. But uh-oh, it looks like we found a snowbank anyway, and we are stuck.
The wind was blowing so hard that Grandpa stepped out and lost his hat, and it went flying. So Joe went chasing Grandpa's hat. And it's really important that you wear his hat, because Grandpa says that if you don't wear your hat, they might think you're from New York City and baby talk you. So Joe went running as soon as Grandpa's hat went flying. Our shovel is buried somewhere in our gear, and we have to figure out a way to get out of this snowbank.
How are you going to be able to shoot in this snow?
How you doing, Joe?
Trigger finger.
I dropped the camera in the snow. Whoops.
Oh dear.
Saved his hat.
Good job.
Twice.
Good job.
How's the blizzard? Okay. Where's Jacob?
Okay.
I dropped the camera in the snow.
Let's everybody try pushing and see if we
Okay.
can back up.
All right.
Okay, Jacob, push!
Then comes a very kind cattle rancher named Rollin to our rescue. He used his little bobcat to plow us a little trail so that we could drive out of our snowbank. Rollin plowed a trail, and some other buffalo hunters with 2 buffalo in the back of their pickup truck helped shovel snow to get us out.
That's good enough. Right on the ball. Okay.
We made it through, stuck in the snow, round 1, and then our vehicle suddenly stopped moving, and we were stuck in the snow again. The buffalo are standing in the background, so the anticipation is building.
First, we have to get out of the snowbank.
Our buffalo guides suddenly become snow rescuers as they pull us out of the snowbank. This is only the second time we've been stuck today, so we'll probably have this to do over again and again. We make it to the buffalo station, and the buffalo hunt is just about ready to go on. Just as soon as we get free from the snow here, we're going to go on up and give that buffalo hunting a try. First, we have to get to the little buffalo hunting station, which is no more than a quarter of a mile ahead of us, and then we'll get our instructions and find out where we go and just exactly how to hunt these buffalo.
You know, not low down for the heart shot or not up high. You want to be right in the middle of the body, right behind that front shoulder. And you'll hit double lungs, and it's a good shot. You don't ruin any meat, see? Okay, now what we got to watch out here is that there's lots of bison in there, and I'll have you all lined up on one, and then I'll say, okay, and then I'll say, wait a minute, because there'll be one coming, and it's going to walk behind the one you're shooting at or in front of it. And you can't shoot then, because if you hit 2, if it goes through the one you're shooting at and hits another one, you have to buy it, see? So it can get kind of expensive.
We've got all the buffalo we can haul home.
Yeah, so you got to be kind of careful. You got to listen to me.
Right.
When I tell you to shoot, you're okay to shoot. But if I say stop, you know, I'll try to tell you early enough. I mean, so I won't get you in a bad spot. Okay?
You heard that now, Joe. You have to listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys, any questions? You guys want to ask? Okay. There's all kinds of bison out there. There's we have the cows like you bought, and then we have red tags, blue tags, yellow tags, green tags, and purple tags. So we have to make sure we picked out the one you bought. Because if you buy one of if you shoot one of these others, see, they're more money, and then you got to pay more money. So it's pretty important that we
Get the right one.
understand what.
And finally, the long-anticipated buffalo hunt is on as we jump in the guides' vehicles and move up toward the herd. Unfortunately, we forgot to tell Jimmy that Joe was colorblind. The 3 kids rode with Jimmy, and Annette and I were in the other vehicle. We were going to be there to do the photography. The wind howled and the snow blew. It was the one side of the buffalo was white from the blowing snow sticking to their fur, and when we'd get out, it would chill you to the bone, and that snow would stick to your face too. It blew so darn hard, it would blow my glasses off. I couldn't even wear my glasses when I was outside, and the snow would stick to them. We get up there, move into position, and it's time to start picking out that special buffalo. At first, they tried to set up a tripod to shoot the buffalo from it, but the wind was howling so bad they couldn't even hardly see the buffalo, and it was shaking them so much it was impossible to shoot from it. So they're going to have to go to Plan B, and Plan B is to shoot from the pickup window. Jacob will be the first shooter. He takes my .375 H&H Magnum and takes careful aim at the herd of buffalo. The shot hardly rang out due to the howling of the wind.
It's a lousy day to be over here. It's a wind.
Yeah. Yeah. The bullets weren't expanding the way they should.
There, you got one.
Did you get one?
Yep. One kicking and stomping. They don't
Yeah.
drop right away.
Yeah.
You got a will to live.
Did he get it in the shoulder blade?
Nope.
No, I guess he double lunged it,
Yep.
huh?
And it's down. I don't know if it'll stay down or not.
Yeah.
It's a cow, man.
Looks like the buffalo's down.
Nope, there was one
Oh.
right over the dead one. So it was that first one we were looking at, thinking it was the one that was shot.
Well, he definitely contacted it that
Yeah,
time.
he hit her that time.
We could barely hear another shot due to the howling of that cold Montana wind, but Joe had taken a shot with the .45-70 and missed. So now he'll switch over to the old .375 Magnum and try it.
Of course, they had the Atlatl,
Yeah.
which was a pretty powerful.
Joe's second shot rang out, and a buffalo is hit.
Yeah.
A lot of blood out with that second shot. She's done for. She's blowing
There.
tons of blood.
Oh, there she goes. Yeah, she's going down now.
They were tough.
Yeah.
She's a younger cow too. She'll be good eating.
Oh, yeah.
She's not one of the real old ones.
Yeah.
She's good. I don't think the other one is either.
Yeah. Well, my uncle used to say when we'd get elk in the winter when they were migrating, and of course they're pretty tough, or in the fall, late fall. we'd start complaining about it being tough. My uncle said it's a darn sight tougher when there's none.
You got a good point. Walk. Yeah, I'll pull us over there, but I'm gonna walk down. Jimmy's looking at something through those binoculars.
Have it on. Had it on pause.
It's time for a windy, snowy photo op with the downed buffalo. We found that Joe had made a mistake and shot 2 buffalo instead of 1. So now we have to figure out how we're going to handle 3 buffalo for the trip home. I figured we could haul 2 buffalo in the trailer all right, but 3, that sounds like a little bit much. But we have them now, so we'll figure out a way to do it. These buffalo have to be skinned and cooled and loaded in the trailer. So Jimmy will be kind enough to haul them down next to the road where we can work on them, and there's no trees to hang them in. So we're going to have to end up skinning them right on the ground with the wind howling and the snow blowing. We found a spot where we thought we'd be able to get out when we get done, and so let the skinning begin. And no one had to be told to work. Everyone could see there was a big job to do, and we were running out of daylight too, so we had to get right on it. But unfortunately, it takes just a certain amount of time to do it, and we didn't have enough time. Darkness is crowding us by now. The wind wouldn't let up, and I was noticing the road out beyond us there. It was starting to drift shut, and it was drifting that snow that was packing in there so hard that you could walk on it. But I thought, well, that's no problem. We have a shovel, so we'll just shovel our way out when we get them all skinned, and they'll cool good out here in the winds. We had a sawzall to saw them in half with, but unfortunately our blade wasn't the best for that, but we were able to at least get them in half so we could get them started cooling. These buffalo were so huge that it took all of us just to move one around once we got it cut in half and skinned. But one thing, the meat is cooling beautifully, and so we won't have to worry about any spoilage on the way home. Things started going haywire by now. One thing, my movie camera stopped working, and then it got dark. I pulled the vehicle around to use the vehicle lights to shine on the buffalo, and I ran over my shovel and broke it. So that's going to be another problem. How are we going to dig our way out of the snowbank without a shovel now? Fortunately, Annette had a digital still camera, so we're able to use it to capture a little bit of the drama that follows. We finished skinning the buffalo, and darkness was upon us, and it was snowing and blowing like fury. We decided that we'd go ahead on out of there and maybe spend the night in a motel. Since we had all the buffalo loaded in the back of our trailer, there was no place for us to sleep. Unfortunately, we started to pull out, and we were stuck. It was dark and the snow was drifting and the wind was howling. So we decided the only thing we could do was just spend the night in the snowbank. So we had enough gas to run the car once in a while, and we had our sleeping bags, so we just sat up and slept that night. The next morning, the crew was out to feed the buffalo hay, and they saw our predicament and came to help. The next morning, the wind continued to howl, but at least the weather had cleared up, and we take a look at the snowbank we're stuck in, and it sure looks cold and hard and tough to get out of. The wind has piled the snow at least 3 feet deep right in the road we need to get out, but fortunately help arrived.
Oh, we got stuck again. This was our 4th time after we got stuck again. Damn. Jacob had it.
We're here.
Oh my God. We would have
she'd
killed
have had
her
a
a
panic.
long time ago.
She would have had a panic attack when the buffalo didn't die instantly. She'd be like, and then you should be trying to do that. Yeah, I know. He's trying to pull. You better keep trying, Grandpa. Try to sit there. He does. Okay, right now. I'll make it like You sure you don't want to eat delicious beans, Mom?
Yeah, I'm sure I don't want anything right now.
Do you want some delicious beans?
I'm gonna need delicious beans or not.
Fortunately, a very kind man came by and tried to pull us out with his truck since we were within sight of the highway, but it just wouldn't quite do it. And Joe found a can of beans he opened with his pocket knife. Since no one had eaten in a day, it was time to start eating. But no one's hungry till we get out of the snowbank anyway. Maybe a good old-fashioned shovel is the answer to our problem, since this person with the truck that came to help us has a real good shovel, which we have none of now since I broke mine. But here comes the hay truck again, and he's chained up all around, so maybe he can be the
There they
answer.
are.
2 flatbed Dodge trucks. bison film.
Better to do. Yeah, we're getting out.
What's that guy saying stuff?
Maybe it was just waving.
Oh man, I want that truck so bad. Now that was my mom.
What, Dad?
You were giggling like a schoolgirl, I said.
Oh.
It's the best day ever. We've got beans, we've got rolls, and we've got...
Out of the snow?
Not quite. Oh, he's going to the airport. That's just down the road.
Yeah.
Just down the road
Just down the road a piece. In Billings.
a bit.
Well, we're dressed. And finally, we're out of the snowbanks and on the paved road, and we're charting the closest course to home with nearly a ton of buffalo in the trailer that wasn't designed for that. But we're moving, and as long as we can move, we're going to continue on. The spirits are cheering up in the vehicle as we move across that Montana roads with the snow drifting across all the way. The buffalo cooled so well that there was still snow and ice on it when we cut it up several days later. We were about a day overdue due to us being caught in the snowbank, and my wife had called the Montana State Police, and she got subjected to a little bit of Montana humor when the state police asked her what we were hunting buffalo for. Are you going to make a pet of them? I don't think she even thought to tell him that a buffalo might be a little big to lay on our couch. He assured her that there was no one stuck any place around that part of Montana, so she felt a little better about it. And he said, and besides, if they have studded tires on, there's totally no problem. None of this was actually a true fact, but it made her feel a lot better, and there was nothing anyone could do. And besides, we're out now and we're heading home. The Madison River is a river of ice as we move on up the highway.